Welcome to the Call to Action podcast, where we bring you incredible people and even more incredible stories with discussions and topics about what it takes to sacrifice everything to overcome hardships and failures to achieve success. Our guests heard the call. Now it's your turn.
Have you ever had a craving for an Oreo? Or Chips Ahoy if you're into that kind of thing? Or simply an ice cold drink of Nestle chocolate milk? Our next guest has most likely helped design, market, and produce those very products and many more. From being a program leader developing cookie and cracker products, to managing the global development and launch of new gum brands worth hundreds of millions of dollars for Kraft Foods, senior project manager for Cadbury, and global project manager director for Nestle, this man was destined to build the next big tasty food. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's the founder and CEO of Pnuff Crunch, a delicious bean-based peanut puff snack that is one of the healthiest snacks on the market, which plays to the marketing genius. If you eat a whole bag, you won't feel like a fat ass. With an outstanding appearance on Shark Tank last year, this doctor of food science from Rutgers negotiated a deal with Mark Cuban because of this impressive business he has started. That and his absolutely shredded physique that you too can work towards with the help of Pnuff Crunch. I want royalties on that, by the way. Please welcome our next guest, who's clearly an underachiever. Oh, Dr. Juan Salinas.
Oh man, bro, can you send me that intro, man, so I can use it?
You have it. Absolutely. Or anytime you need a media guy, I'm your hype man, bro. Just hit me up.
You're
I'm there.
hired, man. Holy
Welcome
crap.
on.
Thank you very much. That was an awesome
Welcome to
intro,
CTAP, man.
Thank you.
Before we get into your wonderful, incredible story, which we'll highlight that we first saw on Shark Tank and kind of your incredible journey from there and even before, very impressive resume you have. We're going to put you through something you've never been through, an experience called the Brain Freeze Frenzy. It's a wild array, random, rapid-fire questions to warm up that gray matter. Are you ready?
You can do them fast, man. I don't know if the answers are going to be fast, but go ahead.
Did you plan a training regimen for that Shark Tank showing, we'll call it, specifically, or are you looking like that year-round?
No, I did.
I did.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How long did that take?
COVID, which is pretty.
That's
pretty
impressive.
Awesome. Yeah. So
what were you doing? Like lots of
was
calisthenics?
a lot of home stuff, man. You know,
Right.
Resistance, but still at home.
Yeah.
And obviously the diet's a huge key. I'm sure it's insane, but dude, we're gonna put a video up as this is rolling right now. Just shredded beyond belief. Like the striations in every muscle is like just popping out. You can taste it from the TV screen, man. Insane. Insane.
All right, moving on to number 2. What is the most amount of foods you've had to taste test in one day?
Oh man. You know, you were talking about my career when I used to work for Nestle, and I worked for Nabisco before then, and we had to taste Oreos, man, all day long because we were making some changes to it, and like, oh crap, man! First of all, I never actually ingested the Oreos. You know, as a product developer, I need to know what they taste like, but I never actually ingested it. I always put it in my mouth, and then I had a cut on the side, and I would just spit it out, and
Like
everybody
wine.
thought it was gross, you know. So God, just like wine, man.
Just
And people were
like
like,
wine.
dude, what are you doing, man? I'm like, why don't you spit on me, man? You know?
I don't trust
Well,
you.
doesn't that say something that the product tester doesn't want to ingest the product? I mean, okay.
But we had to go through like hours sessions, man, where we, you know, all these companies that we're working with in terms of the flavors and things like that, they were presenting, you know, some of their ideas, and we had to go through every single one and taste every single one of them. It was kind of gruesome, man. But
What was your least favorite? Was it the Oreo?
I mean, I'm not really into sugary, you know, very sugary products. I never really liked Oreo or Chips Ahoy, to be honest with you. I worked with all those brands, but they were just too sweet for me.
Yeah. Thank goodness you have your own now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you know, man, very low in sugar. You know, just exactly how I like it.
What's the most surprising fact about the food development process?
Huh.
Something that no one would really think about. Something that only someone that would do thousands of taste testings of Oreos. And I guess one fact is that there's like a spittoon for fucking nasty Oreos. But, you know, anything else that kind of sticks out is non-ordinary.
You know, normally, you know, when you're developing a new product, you're the first one to taste it, you know, and you sort of kind of trust yourself as someone with experience, you know, okay, yeah, this is going to do well. But the main thing, man, is actually to put it in front of consumers, because then you find out a lot of really cool things about it. What most people don't know is that we used at the very least 100 people that we have to test our products with in order to obtain statistically significant data that would tell us, you know, it will tell us whether the product will actually had a good chance of performing well out in the market or not. So a lot of the decisions and the products that we were making were based on those numbers, actually own numbers, you know. And if it was more than a certain percentage, then we felt comfortable launching. If it was under that percentage, then we'll have to continue working on it until we got it to that number, you know. So
does that percentage differ per individual company and brand per se, or is there kind of like an industry standard of like, you know, 73% or whatever, and then it's like pretty much good to go? Or
no, it's depending on each company, to be honest, because what happened is that every company has a database of products that they've already launched, and so they know which products were successful and which weren't, and they know the scores that the successful products, you know, had. So they kind of build some sort of a standard and say, hey, if we're above this, we have a good chance of making it.
Where do you like to stick that percentage at Pnuff?
Peanut, well, 65%, you know, is a good number. If you ask, 100 people, and 65% of them say, I will definitely buy, that's a good number.
Definitely buy. That's like, yeah, that's a different statistic than I think it tastes good, right? Like definitely buy is an even higher standard of operations. So that's that's solid for sure. I can see the difference.
Right. So we do a purchase intent. That's that's the buying question. It's called purchase intent. And then as an R&D guy, you know, you have also questions strictly about the product. Is it salty enough? You know, is it sweet enough? Does it have enough flavor? You know, those kind of questions. So there's matrix on those too. And then you can start to kind of start adjusting your formula, you know, based on the responses.
Okay. Well, people don't wake up every day with the same kind of excellence that you have. So we figure you must have some kind of an insane morning routine. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, the first thing I do is actually drink a glass of water. Not a lot of people do that.
Same.
Yeah. Awesome.
Gets
right?
the system going, man. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I read that somewhere, and you know, I do it every day, and you know, it's actually pretty good.
I feel better.
Yeah. Me too. So, you know, a lot of people are into meditation and things like that. I'm a Catholic guy, so there's a church nearby me, and I go every morning. I do that. So I get my day going, you know, spiritually and mentally ready. And then, you know, I have my breakfast, which is it's a lot of protein.
Bag of Pnuff Crunch or what?
I have had this, you know, I had them as a cereal, especially cinnamon. It's really good as a cereal.
So good.
Oh, man. That was so I'm just going to jump into it because you just brought that up. So we got both. I tried to order all three about a month ago. Yeah. I got all of these two because the original flavor I think is sold out, or it was when I ordered it.
Man.
And I mean, boo-hoo, you're doing okay, you know, F it. So, but when I first chomped into this cinnamon one, it tasted exactly like it. Okay, not exactly, but it reminded me. It had a nostalgic moment, and it was a good one because I could not stay away from Cinnamon Toast Crunch as a kid, and this one did it. Plus, not to mention the old numbers on the back make you feel better about yourself, as I said earlier. It doesn't make you feel like a fat ass. So I pounded a whole bag like it was nothing.
I gotta send you the original. That's our bestseller, and a lot of people think it tastes like Captain Crunch. or Reese's peanut butter cereal. So
Right,
yeah,
the
you
puff
gotta
cereal,
try
the chocolate, the cocoa one.
it. The regular one. Yeah, the original. The one
Regular
you haven't
one.
tried. So I
You
got
are
to
sold
say
out
it's on,
everywhere.
Oh
man.
shoot!
How do we get more of your product?
It's crazy.
You're legitimately sold out everywhere. In fact, that was something even Cuban mentioned. Like, it's very hard to come by because I think once a shelf is loaded up, people find out
definitely.
word of mouth and it's gone.
Well, we're back in stock right now, thankfully.
Yeah, he's good now.
So
but
yeah, so you
before.
guys can go in there and order some, and right now I think we have everything available through Amazon or our website.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, direct. We'll link everything down in the show notes as well. But kind of switching gears a little bit, the thing you miss most about your native country, Honduras, correct? And then one thing you admire about being in the United States.
Yeah. Well, all my friends and family are back home. I'm pretty much a first and only generation here in the United States. So, my parents are there in Honduras, my brothers. So I miss, especially during the holidays where everybody gets together and all that, So I miss that a lot.
You must be a king back home, man. When you go home and they're like, "Hey,
I haven't
like,
gone
hey,
back.
primo."
I haven't gone back since like Shark Tank. So, but I know that I've been in quite a few TV shows over there already. Have been interviewed with them in a couple magazines. So I don't know, man.
That's
I don't
cool,
know what
man.
that's gonna be like when I go back.
Big old fiesta, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Right.
And then one thing you admire about being here, even though it sounds like it's a little lonely in terms of your direct family, but obviously you have friends and I'm sure some people here that you care for. But
I couldn't be more blessed, man, to have landed here in the United States, to be honest. Everything that they say, the land of opportunity, it's true, man. It's true. You can make whatever you want of yourself here because, everything that's available to you. If you work hard, man, you can do it. It's not very easy to do that in other countries. It's just the resources, it's just not there. The opportunities are not there. So
the infrastructure, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, you can make it here in anything you want. Really, that's my belief. You just put your heart to it. You don't have to have a lot of money or anything. You just gotta want it, and you can get it. You know?
We fully
heart and
believe you.
mind.
We fully concur, and this is a common thread of conversation that most of our guests will resonate back to you. They say the same exact thing. It's all about the effort and that vision and the drive, because it really boils down to the individual. So shifting gears a little bit back, number 6, if you had to choose one exercise for the rest of your life, bicep curls or bench press?
Oh man. Whoa, that's a tough one.
Gotta answer.
That's a tough one, man.
Gotta answer.
Let's see, man. Let's see.
1, 2, 3, go.
Nah, man.
Curls for the girls?
I'll definitely go for the guns, bro.
Yeah,
Go for the
there
guns.
you go. Hey, you got a permit for that? You got a concealed carry for that? We won't tell our buddies, our cop buddies. Don't worry.
Nah,
You're
man,
good.
you gotta go for the guns.
What's your
man.
what? I love it. What's your favorite cheat meal?
I really love Indian food, man. I'm
Really?
that chicken tandoori, man. It's like
So good.
You like it extra spicy, or you kind of like it just good enough? Yeah.
Hey, man, I like it spicy, man.
Turn up
in
the heat.
Honduras, we had chili for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, man. So
I love it.
That's another way to
Love
get
it.
your
pour that
system
stuff
going.
in it, No, I do like it spicy, man, and I love that chicken, man. It's just so good. I just, I figure, once a month, it's my cheat
No
day.
big deal.
When can
Once
we
a month,
expect-
that's all.
Yeah, once a month. Yeah, it's good.
When can we expect like extra fire from you, like just like crazy hot product?
Oh man, you want to get there?
Come
We're
on.
working on it. We're actually
really?
working on it.
Man, you're forcing
Yes.
me. You're forcing me to put some hot tapatio on there right now. I mean, the old Mexican way right now. So I'm waiting, but
I don't want to
Hurry up,
ruin
bro.
the surprise. I won't tell you too much, but
Okay,
we are
okay.
working on some
We'll
new
dive
flavors.
into that. Oh, okay, we'll dive a little bit more into that later. Last question, one of my favorite questions. We love asking so many of our guests the same question, and oh man, we get so many wonderful answers, and I can't wait to hear yours. What has been one great and also one shitty piece of leadership advice that you've been given in your lifetime?
great and shitty advice that I've been given. The best advice that I was given was probably by my dad. And that was, when I was, I don't know, I was a teenager, man. My dad wanted me to start swimming for this club. And I was just not into it. And I was, hanging out with my friends, just doing nothing really. That's what I was enjoying doing. And he said, look, you got to try this. I was like, no, Dad, I don't want it. I said, listen, just try it for a month. If you don't like it after the month, I promise you, I won't make you go anymore. So I said, all right, that's cool. 1 month is not a big deal. I went, I did it, and freaking loved it. I, became one of the top swimmers really for Honduras. I represented my country in different meets. I mean, wow. Swimming became my life. So, if my dad
I got goosebumps when you just said that, man.
If my dad wouldn't have said that, I would have never tried it, and I would have never discovered it. So I tell people the same thing. Just try it. Try it for a month, and make a decision after
Wise
a month.
man.
But try it.
Try for a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the best advice. There's some shitty advice, man.
Every day.
Yeah, too many to count.
I mean,
maybe one food specific, maybe.
I'll tell you
Okay, go.
I love Jersey, man. I've been living in Jersey since I came here to go to Rutgers. But when I lived in Honduras, man, I had a different idea of what, the United States was going to be like. I had we get TV.
I see where this is going.
I see like Disney, man. I see like, all these beautiful landscapes, from Colorado.
California beaches.
The nice beaches, Miami and all this stuff, man. And I landed in Newark, bro. And it was winter time. It was winter. And
Holy shit, man.
And I had no, we don't need a coat in Honduras. So I didn't own one.
That was a kick in the balls, huh?
I just landed here, man. I was like, holy crap. What did I just do?
Where am I?
But
Jesus, man.
But I love it, man. Now I love it. I joke about it because I was in shock.
For sure. A little bit of a culture shock right off the rip.
Yeah, man.
But it's like, look, do you really want the Band-Aid slowly peeled off? Or do you want to rip it off, get it over with, and get acclimated quicker? It's just,
I like that analogy, man.
One or the other.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, man. It's an interesting way. I've personally lived in 3 other countries, and it was kind of the same thing, man. I even one of the countries I flew into the wrong state altogether in the country, and it was like just trying to figure my way out. Slept in the airport, didn't have a hotel, had to take the first flight out the next morning to get to where I was supposed to be that day. It was just like whatever. Yeah. And trying to figure the languages out, and man, but you did it, and we really want to start off, congratulations. You got through the brain freeze, friends. You didn't freeze up. Smashed it. Awesome. But we really want to, just start off, man. You've really had an interesting story from what we know. Obviously, we'll expound on this, but just, man, congrats on kind of going through and being probably one of the best representations of chasing the American dream, whether from a Native American citizen, or someone that came to this country and either is in the process or, you've achieved it. But man, you are like the staple. You showed up on Shark Tank and you ripped off your shirt and you had Mark Cuban's eyes roll in the back of his head laughing. And 7 minutes later, you had him trying to take his fucking suit off. And because you landed a deal, man. What was that experience like? I mean, that's insane. Yeah. He tried, but he didn't have the muscle you did, obviously. But
no, he kind of just went like that, like King Kong.
Yeah.
It was fun to spectate.
He didn't want to make you look bad, right?
The whole thing, man. I mean, getting to Shark Tank was just an awesome opportunity, man. I didn't. I had applied a couple of years before that, and I just never heard back. So when I first got a call from, one of the producers, I was just like, yeah, is this a joke? Or like, is this for real? And obviously it was for real. And then, I kept going into the process. So, that was just an amazing opportunity. But one of the fun things.
How long is that initial process?
So, from the time that I got the call to the time that we were actually taping was probably about 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 to 5 months. I think it was.
A lot of interviews or.
Yeah, man. It's like different steps. The first thing is, all right, you got to fill out these applications, like written. They go through all that stuff. They ask you about your financials and things like that, your story. And then, if you pass that, then it goes into like the video stage. So they want you to basically, do a self video, kind of giving a pitch, and then they review that. And after that, it goes into another video that they want you to do. They review that, and then one of the producers, if you're selected, one of the producers will come to you and start working with you and start asking a little more in depth certain things that they think will be good for the show, and we'll start crafting a pitch together in a way.
Oh, so they help you craft it.
They help you, but they want it to be your
Slightly.
own. They want it to be 100% your own.
Right.
So they said, look, do it, and then what they do is they just kind of give you tips. It's like, hey, what if you do this? Will you feel comfortable doing that?
Uh-huh.
That kind of thing. So, they knew that I had been a bodybuilder, professional
You had
bodybuilder.
biceps.
And and they were just like, oh, we noticed like you were a bodybuilder, right? It's like, how do you feel about like maybe taking your shirt off, on TV? I'm like, are you serious?
It was a bold move, my man. Bold move.
I've done it
not gonna
before.
work
I've
for
been on
everybody.
stage. I've been on stage before. It's like, but it's COVID time. So like, there's no gyms. What am I gonna do, man? So I'm like, all right, no problem. I got it.
Volume.
Yeah. So, but it was kind of, it kind of summarized everything that I'm about in terms of creating this brand. Because that was kind of the spark for me. When I was thinking about snacks, that I couldn't have because I was doing all these bodybuilding shows. And I was like, man, I wish there was something that had actually protein in it, that had like good carbs, that I could actually eat, even when I'm preparing for a bodybuilding show. And that was kind of the spark, hey, what if I create something that anyone can have, but it actually has positive nutrition, things that, you feel good about eating. And that's how it all came about. But yeah, so,
That's how Pnuff Crunch started, was when you were
that's how it started,
competing.
man.
And you were like, because what would you eat? You probably, don't you go into, I don't know much about bodybuilding in terms of like the actual process. Do you go into like a dehydrated state towards the end of it? Like, are you only allowed to eat things that are light and puffy, if you will, to kind of just like, I don't know. Are there certain snacks?
The way I do it, I think most of the bodybuilders do it, is all about the macros. You gotta count your carbs, your protein, fats, especially during the beginning. Where you're speaking to is probably the last week, which is like the defining times. Like you want to make sure your muscles are like completely shredded, and you have that dry look that they talk about, not bloated but dry. And to do that, you start playing with your sodium. You start playing with water because of that reason. But this is actually something that most people think bodybuilders do to prepare, is to actually cut water. When in reality, you add water to it. Because what happens, like the more water you're taking in, your body feels like there's an excess of it. And because there's an excess of water, then it wants to get rid of it. So you do that all the way up to a day before you're supposed to go on stage, and then you stop. So your body continues.
So you're drinking what, a gallon a day?
2 gallons. Yeah. 2 gallons.
How do you not die?
I mean, you're up all night, man. Like, come on.
God, man.
This is gonna be.
So it's really not that healthy. It's not that healthy.
I know what it's gonna feel like when I'm 80. I have to wake up in the middle of the night like 3 times, 4 times a day for a night.
Exactly, a little prostate check,
Yeah, But your body wants to get rid of all that water. So since you're not putting any more water, it just keeps, getting rid of it. And that's how people get shredded, and dry.
Harking back to your product, it sounds like most people come on here and the best, most passionate folks always have an idea that they wanted to use themselves. So whether it's something that's edible or some piece of technology, it's always something that they just kind of like obsess over, and they just keep, they keep developing it, and they just keep going and keep driving it until they get success. Right. How long, were you kind of like developing this, through your bodybuilding all the way to kind of like where you are now? How long did that take you?
You mean for the bodybuilding, or you mean for the snack creation?
To get to the snack. Because obviously you had your eye on this, and it was something that you wanted, and then right. to what was the duration like to get the product? I mean,
so from the idea stage that I had, from when I started thinking about it, hey, I want to create this kind of product, to the point where I launched it, I produced it, and it was actually shown to a buyer. That process probably took about just over a year, maybe a year and a half, from the idea stage to that. Right. And normally, when you work for a big company, that time could be shortened a lot, if you have, because you have resources, you have someone doing your regulatory, someone doing your packaging, but when you're doing all yourself, then, obviously it takes a lot longer.
Because you had the background knowledge, obviously working 20 plus years with probably the top 3 largest food companies in Northern America, if not globally. I mean, you probably, and then what you did within those, what were some of the job titles that like really helped you get a good kickstart at this ideation stage to this year and a half? Like what were some of the things you took away from working at these big companies that were really valuable?
Yeah, I mean, man, I spent 20 plus years working for all these companies. So I started from the bottom. I was a technologist, and I was basically helping a scientist that, create formulas, like, measuring ingredients. And then, I learned more about, how to create a formula. Then I learned more about how to test it with consumers.
How finite is that process, real quick? I've always been very curious about the actual food development process. Like, what we put in our mouths has been engineered and scientifically like tested so that my mouth waters and I want more, right? There's like a whole 360 degree psychological and physical connection that you guys make in this lab. Like, what is that like?
Like, you would not believe, especially companies with big pockets, you would not believe the amount of money that they spend on understanding consumer behavior and making sure that the product has, those things that will actually entice a consumer to buy the product or to continue eating it or to, like it. When I first started, man, I was a Nabisco, and I was brought in for a project that was called Potato Crisp, right? They were trying to make a potato chip to compete with, Frito-Lay's potato chip. Nabisco wanted to make it healthier. They wanted to be baked instead of fried. So, we had all these meetings with, all the top people over at the company. And one of the topics that we were discussing, believe it or not, was crunch, right? There was a big dilemma as to what crunch play, what role did crunch play on a consumer basically wanting to have more of this, product.
The crunch factor.
There was
the sound, the text, like everything essentially.
Exactly. That first bite that you put into the product.
Like a snap.
Like
almost.
snap. Yeah. And so we did a lot of consumer research just on crunch, right? And we created products with different levels of crunch. And then we started, correlating the crunch data to likeness, so was it too crunchy? Then the likeness might have gone down. If it was not crunchy enough, the likeness might have gone too down. So we started to fine tune that what we thought was the perfect crunch. And once we thought we had it, we created this device, man, that we'll put here against the jaw
Whoa.
and that one was connected. Yeah,
A hardware piece of device.
yeah, like like it will get taped
yeah.
here, like a microphone thing, and
Like
basically,
a sensor.
yeah, a sensor, and then it will capture, the sound that the Chris was making as you were biting on it, and it will send the signal to this machine, and it basically record your decibels and all the stuff.
That's
and so
wild.
we started. I'm telling you, we started basically mapping, what analytically what the perfect crunch would be, and then that became a measurement.
Shit.
That became a measurement at the manufacturing. It's like, are we creating the right product with the right crunch? It has to be within this window of
So then to do it from a small scale, I have a couple of questions. I want to go into this rabbit hole because honestly, this probably plays a lot into because you must have done something here too, because it's got me thinking about it too. I'm about to crack this bag open right now. What, you take probably a smaller sample to you're not going to run a whole manufacturing line and mass produce for testing, right? You're going to control subsidize something and then hit what's the gap like though? Like, because there's got to be some form of percentage error to multiply that plus make it efficient, right? Like what, how do you manage that?
I mean, everything starts with what they call the kitchen. And really it's immense to be the kitchen, like you could start something at the kitchen level. And then, the next step basically goes into something called scallop. And the scallop is basically you take that formula or the recipe that you made in the kitchen and you try to do it using machinery, using equipment. So let's say, you have a pasta sauce, right? You just mix, your ingredients in a pot and you put it on the stove and you stir it and wow, that tastes really good. Now you want to basically produce the same product, but mass produce it using machines. So now you have to worry about, okay, I can't just cut, a tomato. Now it has to be cut by a machine. So does the machine does the right job of cutting the tomato just like you would in the kitchen? Does it stir it the right way? Does it provide the right heat? To cook the ingredients, So those are all the other things you start to translate from the kitchen into, what we call the pilot plant, which is a small scale of what the production will look like. And
really? So it goes there's multiple, even further stages to go to get it out to the market.
I would say probably 3 stages, it's kitchen, then it's pilot plant, and then it's basically your first trial in an actual manufacturing facility. So, at this stage, you got to be making changes. A lot of times you start here and you end up here because, the equipment that you have can simulate or can handle what you could actually do in the kitchen,
And
so
oftentimes
interesting.
You have to start making changes.
Ramping up to get that production volume can be half the battle. Can take years.
Oh yeah, no, think about the speeds now at which you have to produce something versus, you have all the time to do it at your house and in the kitchen. At the plant, everything happens in seconds. So you have to basically come up with a process that will cook the product and everything in minutes,
Can you talk
So
a
you
little
went
bit?
from engineering the food essentially and scientific proof. Where did you go up in that process with these companies that eventually helped you start? And I actually want to get back to that point you just made with Pnuff Crunch, because I'm sure utilizing a manufacturing plant or trying to eventually build your own. We just had a guest on a few days ago who just finally opened their own manufacturing plant versus doing it through someone else for a separate industry. The company is called Boxable, and Galliano Tiramani is the guy we had on, the wonderful guest. You guys would get along, man. Another go-getter. And essentially it's it's a fold-up home, pre-manufactured home, whatever, but putting that down the manufacturing line for them was insane. So I'm assuming it's crazy for food times 10 because, allergies and shit like that too. But what other positions prior to this, we'll get back to that, but what other positions did you have that really helped you along the way to kind of get to a level of like, man, I'm going for this and I feel confident?
Yeah, I mean, it was a progression. My career was a progression, like I was saying, starting from the bottom, understanding, how to make recipes, all the way up to, being a director and understanding more about the business of food, so, sales, marketing, manufacturing, everything that goes along, the whole, basically starting a new company. I started to understand more about that. My initial experience was just on creating products, innovating products. But then later in my career, I was able to, understand a little more about the other side of the business, the other side of R&D, and that helped me a lot in terms of giving me, more, huevos to do my own thing.
Right.
Because,
yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Has working with Mark Cuban also helped you kind of level up with a lot of this, with regards to the marketing, the strategy, branding?
Yeah, Mark Cuban's, the guy, I don't know if he sleeps, man, because I could send him an email or something at 3:00 in the morning, if I'm drinking or something, I'll send him something, and he answers, man, right there. Like, holy shit, this guy
No way.
You
want to give him a quick call?
Huh? He's
Yeah,
really
right now?
Let's get him on CTAP.
Let's get him on. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man.
That's what I got, man. I
That's
text him
awesome.
right now. He'll probably answer. The guy's really quick.
That's cool.
And he's got a really good team also. Right now we work, he basically assigned a digital marketer who's excellent. Also, some people who's more of a liaison to the retailers. And they have a lot of experience with other brands also that, they've helped bring them to stores and develop better marketing strategies and things like that. So currently we're working with them right now. My expectation is that after this, I want to get Mark a little more involved in terms of promoting the product. So far right now we're sort of fixing it. To the point where like he'll feel very comfortable saying, "All right, I could talk about this now."
I gotcha.
And so that's kind of my push and my hope.
So when you started Pnuff Crunch, were you still working at these big companies, or did you hit a point where you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna shut it off and I'm just gonna solely focus like right off the rip and just go for it, or was there some overlap?
Yeah, no, I always wanted to start my own company, but as you can imagine, it's difficult, right? You still have to pay your bills. You still have to, basically, live your life. So what happened to me was that the division that I was working for, Nestle, it was called Power Bar. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yes.
The original Power Bar, right? So I was
I used to
working
eat
for
them
them
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was developing new products for them, but they decided that they wanted to sell the division to Post, the cereal company. So they bought it, and they bought another division called Premier Nutrition. They make those ready to drink protein shakes, the ones you find at Costco.
Right.
Yes.
So there you go. So they didn't know what to do with the brand, so they gave it to Premier. And then Premier basically, decided that, the business of the bars wasn't really good. And they decided to focus more on the ready-to-drink, shakes and things like that. And I think the brand started to just kind of die. So at that point, I decided it's like, there's nothing here for me to do anymore. And that was kind of like my, what? Should I just get another job or should I just start my own thing? I went through like...
Isn't that kind of the problem with these big companies? Sorry to interrupt, but I just thought of this. Like, do you think these larger companies would do better? And I don't know, you tell me, but is it hard for someone like yourself who's not only really good at their job and got leveled up to a position where you're pretty much running a global area of a food sector, but you're also creative. Obviously, you've created your own. What did they give you opportunities while working at these big companies to try to create new things, or was it just such a slow process that it was just too difficult to even go down that road? Like, did they promote creative new products from their own internal studs, or is this why people leave and say fuck off and I'm doing my own thing? Like, interesting question.
If you notice, right? If you notice, all the innovation is not coming from the big companies. All the innovation comes from all these startups. And the big companies come and they just buy the startup. That's what they do. Their processes, man, I found them very slow, to be honest. You know, like for them to decide that they want to make a product, you know, has to go through 10 different signatures, the CEO, the president, the other guy, the
It's
other
like the
one.
military, right, man?
And then he has to go through like 6 months of regulatory, you know, dissecting and blah, blah, blah. By the time, like, you know, you're ready to start the project, some other company has already
Forgot what it was.
They already, well, another company has done it 3 times already. So
True, that too.
it's kind of a...
You're like, wait, what product am I supposed to start next week again? This was 6 years ago, guys. I don't even remember what the fuck I said.
I'm telling you, man, you would be surprised how many times they resurrect projects on those big companies. You know, something that was tried 9 years ago, and it's like, hey, we tried that before, you know? Let's bring it back.
Right.
And let's actually launch it now.
Does it cost more money for them to do R&D? Like, is it cost efficient to try, like if they have a game plan and to start to launch, and if it's successful, is it cheaper to do that and try and build it internally? Or I just thought of this too, like maybe their strategy is to allow people to go out and then try to recoup that investment somehow or create a new whatever. But then again, maybe not, because now you're probably trying to buy a company that a lot of other people want to buy too. So now there's a bidding war. So I wonder what's more cost effective. If they were smarter, had more foresight.
I think that the way they're doing it today is probably more cost effective for them and less risky, you know, because they could spend a lot of money on R&D on creating a product that then they put in the market and they realize it didn't stick, you know. They could actually see what products are sticking in market right now from another startup.
Proof of concept.
You know,
right.
They're looking at this startup and they keep an eye on it. And it's like, let's see where this one goes. If, you know, in a year it goes down, they'll probably be like, I'm not interested. But if they see something come up, you know, let's say it's to start making up all the way up to $10 million in sales, now they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Hey.
I could take this.
Yeah.
And we can make it,
there you go.
You know, $100 million.
So maybe that is the big play. Us as normal folks just have to discuss it with incredible guests like yourself just to get to that point. But no, man, that's awesome. So you stopped working with these big clunky companies. You're like, I'm streamlining and doing my own thing and I'm doing it the right way. What was kind of like the initial process like? Take us through that year and a half where you got to the point where you felt comfortable, you know.
It never felt
starting
comfortable.
To have people really buy it.
It never felt comfortable.
No.
Still today, man. Still today.
I felt that. I felt that hard.
To feel comfortable.
No. You know, and it's like, it's one of those things, man. That
but you can feel confident, no?
I mean, you can feel confident, but
probably.
at the end of the day, like, you will never be fully ready to do it. You will never be fully ready. You will never have all the knowledge that you need to know to start a company. And that's just the reality. You know, and you can't wait. You can't keep waiting and say, no, you know, I want to learn more about that first, or I want to learn about that. No, you just got to dive in and just make a lot of mistakes, man. That's it. You're going to make a lot of mistakes and you're going to be like, holy shit, I can't believe I just did that, you know, and I'll never do it again.
Any moments in the Pnuff
give us a
journey so far that you've had?
Bro, I could give you
some
so
zingers.
many of them. I mean, from wasted money on, like, you know, working with an agency and branding that didn't do absolutely anything, to the biggest headaches that I ever had on manufacturing. I mean, manufacturing has been, you know, that little thorn that's been bugging me all the way to this day, because, you know, our product it has peanuts in it and it's an allergen. So a lot of manufacturing companies don't want to deal with it. You know, they're manufacturing for somebody else, and they don't want to have the risk of a little bit of dust of peanut, you know, being left out, not cleaned up, and then touching one of the other people, you know, other company's product. And next thing you know, someone that has an allergy, you know, is getting affected.
Wait, so they make multiple products in one big plant,
right?
Like multiple companies share the factory essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Or
But you have your own
wow, I
factory
didn't
now.
know that.
Oh yeah. So, man, I'll tell you a quick funny story, man, about that, because and I always, you know, when you see the non-branded products out there, you know, in general, we all think that they're like lower quality, and you know, no, I'm gonna go for the branded product because even though it's like $2 more, you know,
It's trusted.
it tastes better, you know, it's a much better product.
Certified.
Well, let me tell you, man, when I was working for Nabisco, man, we were working with Triscuit, and they closed one of the plants for Triscuit, so we had to go to a manufacturing plant, you know, co-manufacturing, and they were making their own shredded, you know, Triscuit kind of product. And we went in there, man, and we basically told them, here's a PO, make our product, put her in this box. It was the same product, man. The same exact product.
Wow.
Same exact product. No difference at all.
Just
Oh
brand.
my god.
The only
dude.
difference
You know,
is brand.
and obviously, you know, we all went in there. It's like, no, of course, you know, we want to make sure that the breakage is, you know, this much, and you know, we implement our quality measurements or whatever. But it was basically the same thing. As a matter of fact, whatever we make or whatever we teach them to improve the product, they implement it in their own. So, you know,
Of course.
so you know,
Of course.
it's a very small business too, man, because I remember going into plants where I might be making my Oreos there, and next to me there's a guy from Keebler. He's making, you know, a product in the other line, and so he's looking at my line, you know, he's saying, oh, let's see, what's it doing over there?
So people are taking notes, huh?
You know, like, and I did the same thing, man. You know, and it's like, hey, I heard Keebler's here today. What are they making? They're making the goldfish. And I'm like, oh shit, huh? Let me walk by the mixers and
me
see
check that.
if I see something. I mean, it's, you know, it's very hard.
It's like in Australia, the bowl was rotating the other direction, and that's why they had a good product. Like, you know, something crazy like that.
Yeah. So,
So Shark Tank kind of left off with you pursuing your own manufacturing facility. So has that happened now? Did Mark Cuban help you kind of reach that goal? Is that still the goal?
no, so actually, when I went into Shark Tank, I already had my own line. So we're already producing basically ourselves. And, you know, this line only makes our product, and we staff it.
That sounds expensive.
It was expensive, and it's not something that I would recommend anyone to do right away, especially for a brand that is just growing. But for me, it was that or die, you know, and I didn't want to die, man,
Peanuts.
because I couldn't get into another manufacturing facility for the reasons that I just gave you before, and I just couldn't find anybody. I spent maybe 3-4 months every day. I had a list of manufacturing facilities.
Wow.
In the United States and outside the United States.
Jeez.
And I was just calling each one of them, and I was just, everybody was just no. And I got to a point where it's like, all right, man, either I buy the equipment to make it myself, or, you know, I'm just gotta
Stop.
You know, what they were suggesting is like, you know, if you take the peanuts out of it, we can make it. Like, if you take the peanuts out, this is a peanut puff, man. Like, how do you take the peanuts out of it? It's like, I don't know, put a flavor on it.
What do I make the puff with?
Something, you know, like, what? I'm like, no.
Jesus.
So,
Just use hazelnuts.
yeah, you know, pistachio, walnut, I don't know. But, you know, what happened then, you know, is that, you know, I had to invest into the plant. And that's just a whole new, that's a whole new business, you know, manufacturing. So now it's almost like.
Is that in the States, the plant, or is it?
No, it's here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're providing jobs. You created jobs through this venture stateside. So it's made in America, and man, that's huge, and that's also why you've got a lifetime supporter here, man. These things are not only delicious, but that's a huge thing for me. I tend to way that it's something I feel like is lost in this country, as alongside people somehow believing that the American dream isn't alive and that this country is so bad. And I always challenge people to think like, yes, this country has issues, and I don't want to go down politics at all. I'm not political, but you are like a proven point why they're wrong. And you know, this country does have a lot of opportunities. It's what you make of them too. And I think a lot of people who don't either come from other countries or live in them and experience them to an extent that's worthwhile, they'll never understand, and they shouldn't be having that discussion. But that's huge that it's made in America, man. That's a really big plus.
We're very proud.
That's
We're
awesome.
very proud of what we have.
You
and,
should be.
You know, hopefully we'll grow and be able to get even more people in there and help more people out. Yeah, man.
So I kind of want to touch on that. I know everyone can go listen and watch the interview on Shark Tank, or the presentation, the pitch. It was phenomenal. But man, we've actually had on another Shark Tank alumni. It's called good Lord, the coffee, Kitu Coffee. Why am I blanking on this, Keith? What was it called again? Super Coffee.
Super
Jesus
Coffee.
Christ.
Super Coffee.
Super Coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, and they didn't land a deal, unfortunately, but they're doing tremendous now. They've raised like a Series A just recently, or B or something like that, with like A-Rod. But regardless, Shark Tank alumni, and they were kind of telling us about their up to the point of like in the actual presentation itself. What is it pitched like you watch it on TV as a viewer versus behind the scenes? Like, are those commercials and that guy over talking, like when you're kind of rolling back in after a commercial break, is that guy actually talking in the background? Or like, because you guys are all waiting perfectly and then it goes into it, like what the fuck? It's like, what's going on?
Dude, I don't know what, I mean, I'd be very curious to see what other people's experience was on going into the tank. Mine, it was kind of strange, man, because it was COVID time. We had to quarantine for 10 days, and this was filmed in Las Vegas. It wasn't filmed in LA like they normally do. It was filmed in Las Vegas, and then they set us up at the Venetian for like 10 days, and you could not leave the building. Like, not the building, the room. So all the food was brought to your door. They will knock it in. You will just open it and bring it in like an inmate, So, you start building all this anxiety because you're like waiting and waiting and waiting. So finally, your day comes, and then they bring you into a whole, space behind the scenes where the stage is. And there you spend another 4 or 5 hours, they do a little makeup, whatever. But then, they call you up and say, all right, get ready. And I said, all right, man, cool, finally, So you stand behind those doors, like a tin, 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 tin. There's like a door that opens up, and then you go walking.
Slowly walk out.
I'm standing behind that door, right? And the guys are like, all right, hold on, we'll tell you when you go. Yeah, it's just like 2 minutes.
2 hours later.
5 minutes. 10 minutes. I'm like, what? What's going on, man? And
I lost my pump. Like, come on.
I'm like, I was just ready because I don't know if they capture this because they probably have cameras everywhere. But
I'm like doing push-ups in the back, like trying.
Basically, I was doing that. I was just like, yeah, come on, I'm going. Like, after a while, I was just like, man, I'm getting tired. Like, what's up? And one of the guys that was there, kind of helping me out. And kind of giving me directions about when to go and things like that. He was just like, man, he started talking to me about the Giants, trying to take my mind off of it. So that's kind of cool. But then, the thing opens up. Once that doors opens up, like they are recording, and whatever you do or say will be recorded, So they tell you just keep going. If you trip, keep going. If you forget your line, keep going. It's like, we can't stop. You can't say, oh, wait.
It's like a catwalk.
So one of the things is like they have a next, where you're supposed to stand, which is the perfect spot for all the cameras that they have set up. But you can't look at it. They tell you don't look down because that kind of looks bad on TV. Looking down at the X. So you sort of have to mentally time when to stop, without looking at that X.
Yeah, man.
And I'm like thinking about a million things, and now, shit, man, I got to think about this X.
Now I got to worry about this shit.
Yeah, I got to worry about this X. So I'm walking, man. And then I'm like, all right, I'm standing. I was like, I got to be on top of the X. And then I just heard that voice, it's like, step to the front. Step to the X. I was just like this far from the X, man. I was like, holy crap. So there I'm standing on the X. So I'm standing on the X. I'm already messing this shit up. And then you just stand there for about, I don't know, must have been like 3-4 minutes. Were you?
No way. Just sitting staring at these fucking sharks ready to eat your head off.
It's almost like
that's nerve-wracking, dude.
And so all the sharks are there just looking at you. And I'm like in the middle.
They just threw a bucket of blood. They just tossed a bucket of blood into the water to get the thing churning before they dropped the actual dead whale in the water.
That's how I felt, man, basically.
Just to rip them up.
So I just there, man. I'm just like, all right. So it's like I smile, I guess. What do you do? I don't know. And then, the voice comes up and it's like, all right, go. I forgot what he said. Action or whatever it was. And then you kind of start telling your pitch. But what was funny, man, they don't show it on TV. This is just behind the scenes stuff. I'm going through my pitch. I had it all down. I have practiced it, all great. So I'm going right half through it. And then it comes the time, the point where I'd like take off my coat, And so I do that. And then, the reaction that you see on TV is real. So you have Barbara, you know what I mean, and Lori and the other. So they're all talking, right? Yeah. And they start laughing and they start talking to each other and laughing and shit. So they're making me laugh. I'm fucking having a good time, and all of a sudden, so then the room starts to calm down. Okay, now it's quiet again, and it's like, all right, proceed. I'm like, oh fuck.
With what? My pants?
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
You just got me in the middle of it.
I'm not taking anything else off. Fuck you.
You got me in the middle of the whole pitch. You're like, I'm gonna have to start from the beginning. I don't remember. And Mark was pretty nice, man, because he was just like, it's like you were here, and then I'm like, oh, cool, So I just kept going after that.
Right.
But
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that they didn't put that mistake in there, but
right.
It was actually kind of fun
because the way they edited it, it sounded like he just wasn't. He laughed at first and then was like, all right into business. While the girls were still laughing. I think that was produced. Now that we hear the real story that happened.
It was made in for about, I don't know, maybe it was probably 5 minutes. They just going crazy, just laughing and talking and mocking each other.
Okay.
And they
So you were just there with your shirt off the whole time while they were still laughing and shit.
Laughing, and I'm kind of laughing and they're saying things and I'm kind of saying stupid shit, just whatever. And
that's awesome.
And then they're like, all right, let's get serious again. And I'm like, I can't, man. I didn't remember. So I'm like,
but clearly you crushed it. I mean, my goodness, man. As soon as you started talking business, because what happened, I think, just as an enjoyer and a viewer, I love Shark Tank. Keith and I kind of always talk about some funny shit that happens on that show because it's so golden, man. Even the ones that are horrible, they're golden gems because you just see what the personalities come out. But man, when you got to the business aspect of it, I think it shocked them more than anything because they're like, I think the persona always plays into it. People always have the initial reaction. Oh, he's fit. He must be stupid. Because I've gotten that. I'm always in the gym. I look a little whatever in this clothes, but I'm okay shredded. Not you by any means, but I'm okay shredded. I'll take my shirt off at the beach. And
let's see, man. Let's see. All right. What do you got? Come on, man.
I'm scared, bro. I'm scared.
Oh shit! All right. I know which one you'll pick.
We're hoping you take yours off for the
that's right.
episode since we are filming video.
But man, when you started getting into the business, it was like, oh my God, this guy's an expert. Then everyone went from the laugh, we just had to, I'm listening. Okay, this is different,
Yeah.
And man, you had them sucked in. I mean, that must have been the craziest. I'm getting a little goosebumps thinking about it because we love people's successes. Keith and I are just kind of like that, man. We're competitive, but when it comes to just like, why it doesn't cost you anything to be nice and to support people. And man, I think like I get goosebumps thinking about it. It must have been a huge adrenaline pump when you got the deal, when Mark was like, you guys had some banter. You showed some huge huevos on there, holding off till the last second, you psycho. Well, I would have broke way before that, but
I know, man.
Dude,
I was like, holy shit, that was
crazy.
close. But
what made you take that risk? Did you plan any of that out? Like, did you kind of map out some numbers?
Yeah, I mean, shit. Beforehand, obviously, I had a whole, I had basically in my head, okay, this is the kind of deals that I could get, and this is how low I could go, how high I can go. Like, I had it all in my head. Okay, this is, you sort of kind of prepare for whatever they'll tell you. So I was trying to get to a better deal, but I would have taken it. But the thing was like, what? Another of my goals was just, in addition to get the deal, I wanted to be on TV, I wanted to have the show being shown, and I understood that, if the show is not entertaining, they're probably not going to play it out,
Right, because that's another component, right? Like some of the pitches don't ever get shown on TV.
No.
Is that true?
Some of these guys are like, great, business plans and awesome, products and whatever, but they don't make it on air because they're just boring.
I had no idea.
They're boring.
Really?
So it's not entertaining. So I had the two goals, one is get a good deal and get a good shark as a partner, but at the same time, it's like, if I happen that I don't get one, at least I want to be on TV, because that's going to help my business a lot.
It's half of it.
And so I was trying to do that. I was, that's why I took my shirt off and everything. I'm not a show-off kind of guy. But
that was the funniest shit, man. When you said the O's, I lost it. You hit him with the one, and then you hit him with a bomb afterward with a two banger, and I was like, dude, you are awesome. I was like, dude, that was the point. I was like,
that wasn't really rehearsed, man. I was just kind of spur of the moment. I was just like, all right, I'm having a good time now.
That was so Latin of you that I loved it.
I've got my peanuts and I've got beers. Who wants what?
I've been in Jersey for like over 30 years, so I picked up a few things.
You know the deal. That's right, dude. That's very, very true. Very true. I had a question also, like, did you, so you knew you needed to raise money. Did you ever consider the crowdfunding route or anything else creatively, or was like either a VC firm or like get Shark Tank because of also, I'm sure your sales spiked and really grew after that because of visibility and the marketing, and that's a whole other conversation and strategy. But did you take any other routes or try anything?
I was looking at everything, man. At that point, to be honest with you, I was looking at crowdfunding. I was just talking to a few investors that had shown interest. I was looking at a couple of, there's a lot of different ways to get money.
Right.
The first way that I went about it was just family. I actually, my brothers are, have invested in it. They're the ones who helped me with the machinery and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. And then,
big shout out to the family, man. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, fuck, man, I owe them everything, But there was also other programs like startup programs, where, they provide investment, a group provides investment, and also and also guidance. These are people that are in the industry, that have connections to retailers, that understand distribution, sales, that, there's someone with expertise in marketing and things like that. So I was actually trying to find one of those, one of that kind of funding, because
incubator,
like an incubator, right?
But for products,
exactly. Because the money is great, but I felt like I actually need someone that can help me in all these areas that I'm like weak.
Yes.
Right.
So I was looking at that mostly, and I had a couple. I was actually speaking to a few firms before the Shark Tank, but once we went in Shark Tank, then
it just kind of unraveled. You just took the journey as it came to you.
It just basically did, man. I keep thinking that, there's someone up there, man, looking out for me, and he's kind of guiding me and telling me this is the route you got to take, not the one you want to take. And I just follow along, man.
And he loves peanuts.
Man.
Yeah,
he really does. He really does, man. Well, I know we're gonna get you out of here in a bit. You've got another meeting you got to get to, but man, so far this has just been incredible. We love to leave both. I mean, selfishly for myself and Keith, also probably primarily, but we also just for any listeners out there that are either interested in getting into a startup of their own or working at a big company and see some visionary things to move down towards and these things, like what last piece of advice would you give those kinds of individuals, just from your experiences thus far, and maybe some things that are happening currently, like right in this moment, but what are some general golden rules that you would just be like, man, focus on this, not that, and here's what's really important?
Yeah, I mean, what my journey, is what I can speak to. I'm sure every entrepreneur's journey is different. For me, having support is very important. Having like someone close to you that is always on your side, because you're going to have so many downs, man. There's going to be so many downs, and all you want to do is say, screw this. I'm done.
Always.
It's just not, it's not worthy anymore, and you need that person behind you to kind of give you, no, you know what? Come on, keep going. And that's what I needed so many times, so, family, my girlfriend, friends, close friends, man, they all have helped me out. So having that support even before you start, man, it's very important, know that you have that support. The other thing is dive into it, like I was telling before, for me, I have a PhD in food science and R&D. I felt very strongly that I could do that, but I didn't know anything, beyond being part of a team about sales and marketing, all that stuff. I figured, man, I'll have to learn along, just kind of start Googling and doing a lot of YouTube stuff. And there's a lot of resources out there that will help you.
YouTube's a hell of a teacher.
Listen, man, that's how I've gotten through.
Indeed.
And, I made mistakes and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's enough to get you going, and then later you'll realize, holy shit, I'm a fucking terrible salesman. I need someone that really knows the shit. And then you go out and get somebody, but you already started, what I mean? And so don't, follow the dream, don't wait for it. Don't think that you need to know everything, because you don't. Just jump into it and get it done. But, make sure that you do it in a responsible way. It's going to cost some money to get started no matter what. So make sure you have that, make sure you have the basics done, at least you're strong on something you're very passionate about. And that's the other thing. You got to be passionate about it. Because if you're not passionate about it, man, you're going to quit. You're going to quit. You're going to say this is not worth it, because it's a very hard road, man. It's tough. But once there's a lot of happy moments. It's just that
too often people quit when success was right around the corner.
That's
they say
that all the time.
They say the wealthiest place on earth for innovation and ideas is the graveyard. They really do. So, Dr. Salinas, man, where can our followers and listeners, where can they find you on social media and order some of these delicious snacks? And look, I put my name by it. My name ain't that big in the world, but look, I've tasted all of them except for the original. Yeah. So I gotta go check the website out after this, but I'm seriously going to. But these are honestly, Juan, we didn't get enough into it, but maybe we can follow up with a round 2 in person. Maybe you're traveling, maybe we're traveling, or another virtual. But I'd like to dig more into. We didn't have quite enough time, but yeah, man, where can they find you?
So our Instagram and Facebook, all that. The handle is Pnuff Crunch. Pnuff Crunch, just like the name of the product. And then you can purchase online. It's probably the easiest across the nation. Whether it's our website, which is just pnuff.com, or Amazon.
PNUF.com.
PNUFF.
ff.com, right.
And keeping a lookout for your retailers, man. We're starting to get out there, and if you don't see us, just tell the manager, hey, how come you're not carrying Pnuff in your store, man? Believe it or not, it helps. It helps a lot. So
really,
yeah,
I'll use that locally.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go talk to the Whole Foods, to the Ralphs, and the Trader Joe's right nearby. Although Trader Joe's is a little weird, right? But we'll figure it out. Screw them.
Yeah, they stock their own products.
No, but I really appreciate that, man, because it helps.
So go check him out, guys. This man is the definition of an overachiever and what the American dream is truly all about. He heard the call and took action. Dr. Salinas, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're honored to hear your story and to share it with us, and we wish you all the success in the near future, as we know you're going to have, and we'll be there to help support it financially a little bit as a subscription, and also, anything else we can help you with, man. Welcome to the CTAP family, man.
Awesome, man. Ben and Keith. Thanks a lot, bro, for the invitation.
Good job, brother.
You guys are awesome, man, and congratulations.
We really appreciate that. That means a lot.